Well, a very pleasant good afternoon. Better late than never as we get underway with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show a few minutes late. This is what happens when you leave the guy who does not know what he's doing technically to put the stuff together. We'll be joined by Landon Tangwall here in just a bit. Busy weekend. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles are your world champions in football. The Eagles taking care of business in, I think it's fair to say, very impressive fashion against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. We'll certainly delve into the game and all that surrounded the game on Sunday. Penn State basketball back in action tonight. The Nittany Lions will be at USC looking to snap a 5-game losing streak and a season that has just kind of gone off the rails here. Certainly injuries have contributed significantly to that, but nonetheless, a bitterly disappointing run here for the Nittany Lions after such a promising start. And again, I really thought they were as close to a lock as you could be for an NCAA tournament team. A month, 5 weeks ago, and it just again, variety of things occurred and it fell apart and very tough for the Nittany Lions. I think the future is still very bright there. I still think they have the right coach, and I think they just they need a little luck. You need to get some breaks here somewhere along the way. And it's interesting because if you look at the Penn State hockey team, men's hockey, and the Penn State men's basketball program, they're kind of mirror opposites of each other. Now the hockey team is a very young squad, so some struggles were to be anticipated, but I mean, they really struggled coming out of the gates, but have completely turned it around. They're actually in the rankings this week. I believe checking in at number 19 in the USHO poll this week, that would have seemed unfathomable going into the Christmas holiday. So what they have done in turning that thing around, and now, I mean, that is a team that could be on the brink of getting to the NCAA tournament this season. Remarkable stuff. This spring semester has been unbelievable, really, when you look at what Penn State has been able to do. Now, a big couple of games coming up against Notre Dame this weekend at Pagula Ice Arena. And we'll see if the Nittany Lions can ride this wave of momentum. But 2 big road wins in Madison last weekend have set things up very, very nicely for the Nittany Lions hockey team. Penn State Wrestling, of course, continues to roll. Don't have updates for you. And actually, I've been running around so much, I'm not even sure. I'll check during the break here. I'm not even honestly sure what was or wasn't said today with Cale Sanderson and his press conference regarding Braden Davis and Tyler Kasak. Of course, Davis has missed the last couple of weekends of action, and Kasak suffered what appeared to be a concussion in the dual meet with Maryland on Sunday. The Terrapins getting 2 bout victories, the injury default there at 157 for Ethan Miller over Kasak. And with that, and the other being Braxton Brown getting the win at 133, where, again, Braden Davis was out, and Kyson Garcia, again, filled in and lost by 8 points to Brown, who was ranked 11th in the country at the time. By the way, the new rankings have come out. Penn State still has all 8 wrestlers ranked in the top 8. Davis slipped 1 spot from 7 to 8 this week. But Penn State has Josh Barr now up to number 3. So the Nittany Lions have 3 top-ranked wrestlers, 3 second-ranked wrestlers, and 2 third-ranked wrestlers. So that's 8 wrestlers now for Penn State ranked in the top 3 of their respective weight classes. And then again, Luke Lillidahl, who I think is pretty safely underranked at number 7, and Braden Davis, again, dropping to number 8 at 133. So all 10, again, in the top 8. And I'll check here during the break. My apologies. It's been a day that is getting away from me here. So we'll talk again, certainly about the Super Bowl. I think, the one thing to me, as that game unfolded, I think the Chiefs understandably made a very conscientious effort that, hey, we are going to shut down Saquon Barkley, but almost to such an extent that they forgot about everything else, including Jalen Hurts. Now, the defense, you give up 40 points in the Super Bowl. Tough to say the defense played great, except that I'm not going to say it played great. I don't think it played nearly as badly as that score might indicate. The turnovers by Mahomes were killers. I mean, 17 points off of turnovers, including the pick 6 by DeJean. That's just, it's an absolute killer. And the Chiefs, I think we had talked about it going into the game, and it's just one of those things. The turnover stats, they always make me a little nervous if it's my team. And again, I had no dog in the fight. I was glad to see Saquon Barkley get the Super Bowl ring. I was rooting for the Eagles, mostly out of Pennsylvania pride and love for Saquon Barkley. But when you look at the way that the Chiefs had gone through really the entire season, but certainly the postseason with no turnovers, it just makes me nervous when stats like that are thrown out, because every game is kind of a season unto itself. Oh, I need to add the deer booch. Sorry, I'm slow moving. I just a couple of things here as Chris Buchanani joins us.
Head.
If you listen to the wrestling broadcast over the weekend, you know that my voice was hoarse. And I had several people reach out to me. It's like, man, I hope you feel better soon. I'm like, I feel fine. Like it was just my voice that had left me. Well, that changed yesterday, and I felt like crap all day yesterday. Took some meds and got a good night's sleep, felt better this morning. And as this day has gone on, I'm feeling worse and worse by the minute. So I'm hoping one more good round of medicine and good night's sleep tonight will take care of it. But I guess the good news is the voice is coming back, if not entirely back to normal, at least heading in the right direction here. So I will take that as a win here on this Tuesday. Dear Booch, I'm guessing you're pretty happy these days.
I am. I'm thrilled, although I am right there with you, Ironhead. I am already looking forward to Tengwall getting in here by 2:30 because I feel like I was run over by a catabus right now and have for the last few days. I don't get sick very often, and I have been absolutely floored the last few days. Like the Goon, I watched this Super Bowl overjoyed, but also like wrapped up in bed with like 7 blankets around me as I was somehow like running a fever, but also shivering at the same time. So yeah. It's going around. But you know what else is going around? Super Bowl fever in Philadelphia Eagles Nation, because it was incredible, Ironhead, to watch Nick Foles and the boys complete a truly magical run and get Philly their first Lombardi after the 2017 season. This was something entirely different. That Super Bowl looked like the ones I watched when I was a kid growing up, like back in the 80s, where the Super Bowl used to be the worst game of the year. You know, the 49ers would beat the Denver Broncos by 40 points or something. I cannot believe the pillar-to-post domination of, one of the best teams, quarterbacks, coaches, just one for the ages, really.
No, it was. The one thing I really thought, it was funny. We were talking about the game, obviously going into it, had a couple of friends over, and I really liked it. I talked with Goon, and he was afraid I was jinxing them and all of that. But I did not see what happened coming, but I really did think the Eagles had a pretty distinctive advantage along the line of scrimmage. And that's a pretty good place to have the advantage when you're going into any big football game. I don't know that there's a coach out there, hey, we'll give you the edge everywhere else. You give me the guys up front, we'll take our chances. And now, did I see the thorough domination and just complete? I mean, that first half, Booch, I truly, it was hard to comprehend what you were watching in terms of that Kansas City offense being so completely stifled. I mean, like, you talk about not being able to do anything. And this is Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. This is Andy Reid we're talking about. And, I mean, they just had no answers. And, again, I don't know that there were answers, because when you are getting that thoroughly dominated up front, I didn't really realize, I know it's been out there all over the place after the game. I wasn't paying that close of attention to realize that the Eagles did not blitz in that game, which is truly astounding, that you could be that dominant up front, where it's like, yeah, there's no need to blitz because we're just completely controlling the game, and we don't need to take somebody else away from any other area of the field. It was as impressive of an upfront domination as I can remember. And you're right. I mean, when we were growing up, there were certainly plenty of games where one team dominated the other. But in terms of just the absolute domination up front, it's been a long time since we've seen that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And certainly the Eagles defensive coordinator, the journeyman defensive coach, Vic Fangio, deserves a lot of credit. I think for sure, schematically, he did some things that had Patrick Mahomes not able to process through his progressions quickly. If you just look at the way that he took advantage of matchups, that quarters coverage, disguising who's going to be where, and not allowing Mahomes the flexibility to get comfortable and make quick decisions. But really, as much as I would love to, pin it on Vic and his coaching, I think it's just the defensive line. Every single one of those guys brought their A game. You always dream that you can play your very best football on the biggest stage, and I think it's rare that it just matches up perfectly, where everybody just plays at the highest level, at the highest leverage moment. And that was Super Bowl Sunday for Philadelphia's defensive line. And really, Ironhead, when you look at the pressure that was coming from that front four, to me, that speaks to what is probably the biggest headline of the Super Bowl team for me. And that is, and you know this from that great run that the Pittsburgh Steelers had in the 2000s. If you can consistently hit on your first round draft pick for a succession of seasons, and then have the additional good fortune of being able to get some players in the later rounds, you then build a core of a team that is going to be competitive every single year. And you have the luxury of then just being able to kind of selectively plug holes with free agency. And to me, that's the headline for Philadelphia. The great job that Howie Roseman and Philly's front office has done in the draft. Just, Quinyon Mitchell, their first round pick from this past year, just a lockdown corner all year, played like a vet. Cooper DeJean, their second round pick, has a pick 6. Jalix Hunt, their third round pick out of Houston Christian, who was a safety at Cornell when he started his college football career, getting multiple quality snaps, getting pressures in there. Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, every single one of those guys I just named who were harassing Patrick Mahomes all night, all Eagles draft picks from the last several years. And you really see it on both sides of the ball. And even A.J. Brown was an acquisition on draft day who was acquired via draft capital that the team was able to accumulate. So really, to me, the story of this team is just the unbelievable job they've done in the draft. You've got 4 out of 5 starters on the offensive line are draft picks. And your bookend tackles, one is a Hall of Famer, first-round pick in Lane Johnson. The other is an Australian rules football player taken in the 7th round who, frankly, probably deserved some consideration for the All-Pro spot this year. But I think just there was this kind of like back in the 90s, they got sick of giving Jordan the MVP in the NBA every season or every year. I think they just didn't want to give too many All-Pro spots to Eagles. So Jordan Mailata didn't get it. But, yeah, Howie has done a bang-up job in the draft year after year for multiple years in a row. Again, going back to that run like the Steelers had where you had Roethlisberger, Heath Miller, Troy Polamalu all in a row. And then you go back and you look at those drafts. They built those teams with successive draft picks, but they hit on their first rounder year after year after year. That's been Philly, and now it culminates in a world championship. Yeah,
it truly remarkable stuff. And obviously the Eagles earned the championship, and I think left no doubt as to who the best team in the NFL ultimately was this season. And, Booch, a couple of things we have. Booch will appreciate this, but it was a classic Andy Reid letdown. Certainly can fair take. I do think I'll take the other side of it, though. What Nick Sirianni has been able to withstand and prevail through. We've talked about this often, Booch, and it's just one of those things where I really think there are a wide variety of personalities that can be successful on the coaching front. We have seen, there are fiery, passionate guys. What you need to be is genuine. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be organized and be able to put good people around you, all of that stuff. But you need to be genuine at the end of the day. And a guy who is fiery and passionate and tries to sit there and be stoic, like, people can see, well, this isn't who you are. Now, if you are more of a stoic person and you're trying to do the rah-rah stuff, again, same thing. You just need to be you. And Sirianni, again, I give him a lot of credit, Booch, because there were a ton of people, and not just the knucklehead fans. There were a lot of people that have followed the sport for a long time. Like, this is not working. This will not work. And even, you even saw in the Super Bowl, like, doesn't always have to be everybody's just singing Kumbaya and, man, we're all in this together. You just got to be able to perform when the lights are on. And he does get credit for getting those guys to perform extremely consistently throughout the season and certainly saving their best for last.
Yeah, and I understand that the Eagles are one of the lightning rod franchises in the league now. They've been successful at a pretty high level for a long period of time. And, look, I'm fully aware, Ironhead, of the ways in which our fan base probably invites some additional scrutiny from, the American sporting public and media. But look, I think there are. It's a little surprising to me the degree to which, especially in the national media, there was not recognition of just how good this Eagles team was. And I do kind of there's a feeling of a little bit, the clickbait effect of the Eagles are one of those franchises that provokes an emotional reaction from the audience, whether it be positive or negative. And so if you poke the bear on the Eagles a little bit, you're going to keep people watching. You're going to keep them clicking on your social media post or whatever. I kind of get the feeling that if, like, Nick Sirianni were coach of the Carolina Panthers, nobody would really think or talk about him too much. But because he's in the spotlight, and like you said, he's an emotionally demonstrative Italian. And, we like to wear our emotions on our sleeves, Ironhead, which is the way it works. I think that's part of it. But you know what? You saw the same thing a few years ago with Dan Campbell. Remember when he got hired in Detroit and gave that introductory press conference and was talking about biting kneecaps and all that stuff, everybody did totally clown the guy. And they said, oh, this is a joke. What's this guy? He's going to go to – no one's ever won in Detroit. This is going to be a train wreck. And look at where they're at. I think for as good as Philly was this year, and they are great, I'm not going to lie and say that I don't think they were also fortunate that Detroit didn't have all the injuries they did at the end of the year. I'm not saying I don't think they could have gone in to Detroit and won, but that's going to be a competitive team again next year. And I like Dan Campbell a lot. And so really what like the talking heads on ESPN or NFL Network have to say about any coach, like I couldn't care less. It's like an anti-endorsement, frankly.
Booch, I'll talk about this with Landon too, but just thoughts on Juwan Sider and kind of what it's interesting because you feel like there's just this wave of momentum around Penn State football, and then it's like, now, do I think this just derails any chance Penn State has next season? No. But this is a pretty substantial setback in a couple of regards. One is this is the to me, kind of ultimate lateral move, which is, again, James Franklin's been open about it. That is not what you want to see happening with your organization. And certainly, running back is very important, and the job he's done is important. But, Booch, where this is a crusher in the moment, and again, we'll see what happens with the next hire. And certainly James Franklin has a pretty good track record here and recognizes the need to replace the recruiting component here. But that is right where this is a significant loss for Penn State. Recruiting in general and recruiting in the Sunshine State in particular is what Sider brought, and it was a big component here to Penn State being able to build over the last few years what they have in terms of that running back room and just the talent on that roster overall. We've talked about the depth a lot. A lot of that depth goes back to the job that Sider was doing on the recruiting front. Yeah,
I think you nailed it. I was joking about this with some of my friends a little bit about like how important the job of running back coach in college actually is. So, to the extent that you worry about losing him hands-on as a coach of the position, we're fortunate to have two experienced guys who at this point are pretty much finished products, I think, which is not to say that you can't continue to learn and grow. But I think whoever James Franklin hires to come in here and replace Juwan Sider, and it's going to be a great hire. I'm pretty confident about that. He's got a good track record. And as he said in his press conference today, given the talent we have in the room and the talent committed in the pipeline and all the resources available at Penn State, the legacy of the position here, everything. Saquon Barkley, has done, I think, great benefit for the Penn State brand doing what he did this season and taking it all the way to getting his first Super Bowl ring. I'm not worried about impact on the position group as much as, to your point, and I talk about the kids committed in the pipeline, what this does for recruiting. Juwan Sider was, if not the best recruiter on staff, certainly one of the best. And he gives you ties into that talent-rich area down south, particularly in Florida. So to just have that momentum disrupted a little bit, it's not like the train got derailed, but it's just win after win after win, and you're stacking them, and you're just waiting for one thing to go wrong. Well, this was it, I guess. And the rumor that's circulating around is that a big motivation was that his wife was just ready to get out of State College. Now, I don't know. I don't know that South Bend, Indiana is like a tremendous upgrade over State College, Pennsylvania. I'm sure I'm sure Notre Dame threw a lot of money at him. But my understanding is that money was not the primary motivator. Ironhead, for as much as you don't like to hear me say the cold just toughens you up and you just got to welcome the cold and take it as a chance to toughen yourself up. You know what? This week, actually, I think I'm coming over to your side. So it drives me nuts when I hear all these rumors circulating about, so-and-so's spouse doesn't want to be here. I don't know. You and I probably agree this is one of the best places on earth to live. But this week, right now, you know what, Mrs. Sider, I think I might actually be pretty sympathetic to your viewpoint. So yeah, it stinks. But when you look at top to bottom, Ironhead, the quality of staff James has at Penn State right now, and I'm talking about everybody, from coordinators down to position coaches to these analyst positions. There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of up and coming talent in terms of not just coaching, but recruiting. I think he's going to be able to bring somebody strong in here. And as a group, I don't imagine that this is something they can't recover from. So it's a setback, but that's it.
Yeah. And I agree with you top to bottom. So it's one of the things that the whole, big game James folks and, Penn State's never going to win a title. They've got to move on. I'm just telling you, there is something to be said for experience to go with drive. And Franklin, I don't think there's any question he has the competitive drive. Like he wants to bring the national title home here in the worst way. But I also think he really has learned over the years, Booch, on a variety of different fronts. Hey, oh man, this might be a deficiency of mine. Oh, this might be a deficiency of the programs. Oh, and man, he has worked to address every single one. And I think that the experience that he has now, it's one of the reasons why I would be really, really disappointed if he left Penn State, because that type of experience, going through the process, seeing what has worked and doesn't work. And I think you could feel it really each of the last two seasons, Booch. Like he has that confidence now. And I think it's partly confidence in his own abilities and what he can do. But I think it's more so the confidence that you just touched on, that, man, I now have the pieces in place. He loves Pat Kraft and loves having that guy as the AD and feels confident and comfortable with what he's doing. And hey, man, we need to upgrade this. Man, we're going to do everything we can, at least, and I just think there's real value in having gone through the experiences that he has, having an understanding now of the institution, what the parameters are there, such as they are, and then how to kind of push through and maybe change those parameters in key spots. And so, yes, I think there is a tremendous confidence from James Franklin because of the staff that he has, but also just the overall ability to put together what he wants and what he knows or feels he knows is going to work throughout. And I think you see it. I mean, again, we'll talk to Landon, but I mean, I think you see it across the board. They have complete buy-in, this program I'm talking about. And it's not just players, it's the families of the players. I've talked about this over the years. Cale Sanderson talks a lot. You need buy-in from the wrestlers or football players here, but you need buy-in from the family. Like, they need to be understanding what the objectives are here and being okay with, yep, I'm trusting you and your staff with the care of my sons. And that is a big deal. And I just think Franklin has it. And it's why, again, nothing guaranteed, but I think they are poised to make a serious run for the national title next season.
Hi, your lips to God's ears, Ironhead.
Oh, well, amen.
For sure. And, I just to bring the conversation back to Jawan Sider for a moment and his purported abilities to recruit the state of Florida. I know there has been a lot of back and forth in our fan base about the wisdom of investing your finite resources, not just your money, but your time and the FaceTime with your coaches into recruiting Florida, because there's this view that, we can get the guys on campus, we can't keep them here. I wrote an article about this about a year ago for the Bloggy when King Mac left to go to Alabama. And, the thing is, if you go back and you look at Florida in terms of what it's brought to Penn State, and then there's always I should add the little bit of a caveat, because if you use the recruiting services info, they'll have guys classified as being from whatever state based on where they played their senior year of high school. So there are going to be some guys like Katron Allen and KJ Hamler, for example, who were from other states who went to IMG Academy in Florida. Yeah. So the recruiting service will have them ranked as or classified as Florida recruits. For sure, you recruited them. They were in Florida. They came up from Florida. That's not where they're from. KJ Hamler was from Michigan. So he knew what a state college winter would be like, right? This is not somebody who grew up in Orlando or something, coming up and experiencing this lovely weather we're having here in central Pennsylvania these past few weeks. But if you look at the list of Florida recruits, specifically true Florida kids who've come up to Penn State, there have been a handful who have been incredibly impactful on this year's team. Like I said, Katron Allen is an IMG guy, but Zane Durant is probably the headline name. But Elliott Washington as well, who I think has grown and improved as a defensive back every year, and I expect to play a really large role in this year's defense. And then two young corners we have on the roster right now from Florida. And then you look at some of the kids who have left. By and large, they're ones who left because they were passed by other guys on the depth chart.
Yep.
So they either contributed to a limited degree and then got passed up by younger, more talented players, or they were just never really able to crack the top 3 or 4 at their position in the depth chart, and then they went on elsewhere. And none of them are really players, all due respect to those guys, that fans are looking at what they did after they left Penn State and saying, boy, I wish we had so-and-so back.
Right.
All of this is to say that I think it is important for Penn State to continue to attempt to recruit nationally, especially on the East Coast. And Florida is just one of those hotbeds where you can be pulling, whatever, from the 3rd or even the 4th tier of talent at whatever position among high school football players in Florida and still be getting a great impactful player who can come up and start Big Ten games for you. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it and we shouldn't be down on the Florida kids we bring in, because I think we've had some nice hits and the misses have not been particularly costly. That said, I think it's a small slice of the overall pie. So we also shouldn't be losing any sleep over the fact that, at least in the short term, our Florida recruiting might take a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. All right, we're going to take a break here. We are back with much more of a Goonless Goon and Ironhead show here on a Tuesday. This is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show on Sports Radio 98.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm at Quaker Steak and Lube. The Dear Booch is in the studio. Landon Tengwall will be by in a bit, and we can delve into all kinds of different topics. Booch, I know we've talked about the challenges, I'll put it, of being a Penn State basketball fan over the years. This has to be one of the more gut-wrenching seasons for fans because of just how promising this season was, and now it's just in shambles. And again, injuries obviously have a ton to do with this, but man, it is truly heartbreaking to think about where it looked like this team was headed and where it now is almost certain to finish up. Again, I know you never feel it's a lock that they're going to be in the tournament. I'm not saying I thought it was an absolute lock, but boy, I really did. I mean, they looked like they were going to be like a top 25 kind of basketball team here with the athleticism. I thought if everybody kept, pulling in the same direction, kept coming together, they were forcing turnovers by the bunches. And now it's completely flipped the whole way around, where now they are the team committing the turnovers that are just crushing them. And again, it's just tough. Part of it is the lack of luck on the injury front in particular. And, I just hope, for Mike Rhodes' sake, I hope next season they get everybody healthy and keep everybody healthy, and at least, hey, let's go out and see what this program can do. But I talked earlier, Booch, the hockey team their season seemed to basically be over in terms of any chance of an NCAA tournament. That was not even on the radar over the Christmas break. And now, again, they've completely flipped. That hockey team is just riding a wave of momentum and looks not unbeatable, but man, they look really, really good. The games this weekend at Wisconsin were huge for that team and that program. And then again, the basketball team, I it looks pretty certain now won't be in the Big Ten tournament, let alone any other postseason play. It's just tough to stomach, I think, and I'm sure it is just eating Mike Rhodes apart.
Yeah, frustrating, and I'm just disappointed that this couldn't go differently for Mike, Coach Rhodes, because I am rooting for that guy hard. I really do believe he's got his heart here in Penn State, and he is just working his butt off every day to make Penn State basketball competitive, which, as we understand, is an incredibly heavy lift. And one of the things, whether it's fair or not, I think we can just acknowledge that it's true, is that for as great as Penn State fans are, certainly for football and a lot of our other sports, with basketball, I think the fan base is just basically perpetually in show me mode, where if you don't establish that you are going to have a competitive, not just competitive, but winning product on the floor and prove that again and again, there is going to be zero benefit of the doubt extended to the program at any point. Like, you are just not going to get butts in seats in the Bryce Jordan Center until you, I understand it's not fair, but until you prove multiple times that you can win some important games. And that's tough without a home court advantage, but you're just going to have to do it. You just have to figure it out. It's one of the biggest obstacles to coming to Penn State and succeeding. You know, people have talked a lot about the difficulty of filling up a big arena like the Bryce Jordan Center at the time of year that college basketball plays, when you've got other sports like hockey and wrestling, which have built-in fan support that are just kind of drawing away. Because, you know, if you're, and it's not all alumni, right? You have to draw a local / regional audience. Yeah. And if you are a family that is going to plan, you know, attend one Penn State sporting event in 2 weeks, again, not just, you know, product on the court, but just kind of like the traditional energy and where it has been around sports for decades, frankly, at Penn State, is going to push basketball lower down on the list. And then every single time you have a season like this, it's another brick in the wall in, you know, kind of reinforcing that idea of, I'm not going to show up until you prove it to me. And so the fact that this season started with the fanfare that it did, but nevertheless, it's still only Mike's second year, and what he does not have currently, and we hope to have in the pipeline with some of the recruits he has committed, is depth. And so when, you know, your top two players get injured, in Puffs Johnson's case, it's just out off the floor for that clearly just threw a monkey wrench into the works. And the one frustrating thing to me watching this team over and above the injuries is just that it seems at one point or another they just shut it down.
Yeah.
So, again, I think some of that may be a function of when you build your team primarily through the transfer portal, which I realize is basically the way you do roster building in college basketball. Not even the top programs have to do it that way.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're going to hit on the right mix and the chemistry is going to work. And when the going gets tough, those guys, even though they haven't been together for long, will play for each other. And then sometimes the mix will be just a little bit off. And so when you hit some adversity, it kind of flies apart because there's not a whole lot of camaraderie that's been built up over time because you're turning over so much of your roster from year to year. And there was some hope that Penn State was bringing back enough talent, I think, from last year's team that with the leadership in the locker room, you wouldn't see that happen. But yeah, just the lack of focus and effort down the stretch has been a letdown for me. So, I mean, at this point, as you said, I mean, you're not even a Big Ten tournament team in all likelihood. So this is pretty much play out the string and look to hit the reset button for next season.
Yeah, and I think that's what they'll look to do. And I think part of that, you know, the confidence is such a big part of sports to me. And I just think what the like on one hand, I understand fans. Well, it's inexcusable that these guys. I mean, they're getting paid now and this and that. I'm just telling you, it is hard to go out there when you don't have confidence. And we can argue whether or not they, Puff Johnson being out is man. That's why you just don't have confidence. But you can see it. They do not trust that they are going to go out and find a way to win games right now. And in most of these games now, there's that stretch, right, where the other team gets on a run, and it's basketball. Like, teams get on runs. That's what basketball is. But Penn State just never has the answer now. It's like they don't come back with a run of their own. They'll give up a 12-point run, and then their answer is, here's a 4 or 5 point run. And it's just, and you feel, I mean, you literally feel as you're watching, this game just, they got away from them. And it's tough. And I don't know. I feel for Mike Rhodes. I feel for the players, because I think they know the promise that was there and the opportunity was there. And I just don't think they're playing with any confidence, any belief that they're going to find a way to win. And I think that contributes to the at least appearance of, man, this is just a lackluster effort. But it is, when you see some of these balls being thrown away, the way they're being thrown away, Pooch, I mean, it's exasperating as a fan. I'm sure even more so as a coach or teammate. But, I mean, some of these, again, it's one thing. Sometimes you play teams that are great and the hands are all over the place. Too often, I mean, this team's like, yeah, here you go. And it's frustrating.
Sometimes you can just get caught in quicksand. Now, I'm not saying there's going to be a comparable turnaround, but look, Ironhead, I'm going to find a way to bring it back to the Eagles just won the Super Bowl in one of the most dominating fashions we've seen in the big game. And if you think back to last season with Philly, after they start 10-1 and then just completely implode week after week, one of the most talented rosters in football, just finding ways to lose games. And if you listen to the coaches and the players talk about what that was like, nobody's preparation changed. The process didn't change. It was just something was a little off. And once the losing started, it was just impossible for that team last year to claw their way out of it. And I kind of feel like that is what's occurring with this basketball team. Because, again, to go back to some of the teams that Pat Chambers had over the years that had less roster talent than this team has, frankly, they would still play hard down the stretch. They would still be, especially defensively, they'd be, they would be out of it. No chance to make the tournament. And you'd still be seeing those teams challenging tournament level Big Ten teams, especially when they're playing at home late into the season on defense. And you're not seeing that right now. I think this is just one of those quicksand type situations where it's compounding. So I guess the flip side of college basketball being so transfer portal dependent these days is that, if you don't like your roster one season, all you need to do is play out the string and then it can change.
Just go sign Saquon Barkley for next season. And they're going to be right in the championship mix. That's all they got to do.
Let me ask you real quickly, Ironhead. If you put Saquon Barkley, literal Saquon Barkley, on the Penn State basketball team right now, how many wins do you think that would add?
I
don't even know. I don't know if he's a good basketball player. I don't know if he's ever. I'm sure he's played basketball. I don't think he played it in high school or anything.
Yeah, there are guys. So the way I look at it is always, and we've had discussions over the years. Man, that guy is a wrestler. Like Matt McGloin comes to mind. Like, man, that guy would do well on the mat. Now, maybe not technique wise, but man, like the fight that you need. Yeah, Saquon Barkley. I mean, that confidence. And again, I don't know if he can play basketball worth a lick, but the confidence that he would bring and the, I think, belief that he would generate in his teammates. Yeah, it's a fascinating. I mean, I would say another 4 or 5 anyway, even if he can't play basketball well, because there is something to having that personality. And listen, I think you saw it in the Super Bowl, Booch. Like, I don't know if internally there was a part of him that, man, this is frustrating. I can't get in the end zone, or I can't get my offense going. But boy, if it was, I mean, he sure never showed it, and you wouldn't know it after the game. Obviously, his goal was to win the Super Bowl and to be part of a championship team. And listen, he obviously recognizes his import to what the team accomplished over the season. And I think even in that Super Bowl, again, I think Kansas City got so consumed with, man, we're going to stop Saquon Barkley. And again, to a large degree, they did. Now, he still accounted for, 96 or 98 yards, not darn near 100 yards of offense with the receiving and rushing yards combined. So it's not like he just completely disappeared. But yeah, he never broke off the big run. But I do think, and I think he knows, that the focus that Kansas City had on him is partly what allowed Jalen Hurts to have the game that he did.
There's no question. I mean,
you talk about two guys that just are able to put ego aside and don't care. Like Jalen Hurts, it is hilarious to me to watch people debate about where he fits in the over. What does it matter? I mean, Jalen Hurts could care less. Rank him 32nd, out of the starting quarterback. He doesn't care. He cares about the team accomplishing its goals. Like those two just have, to me, the ultimate team mindset that you need to create a championship opportunity. And it was just great to see Saquon have the season he did and Jalen have the game he did. And for those two in particular, just be able to ride off into the sunset here from the 2024-2025 season.
Yeah. And since we're talking about Saquon, a couple of notes about him. I mean, first of all, I agree. I thought it was mystifying, frankly, that so much of the Kansas City game plan seemed to be completely focused on stopping him. I understand when you're playing the Eagles, you got to try to stop Saquon Barkley. You don't get to hang a contained Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl banner at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah.
And I think Andy Reid kind of got confused and forgot that the Eagles don't have James Thrash and Todd Pinkston as their starting receivers anymore. And so you've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out there. If you put 9 guys in the box, it's like, oh, yeah, congratulations. Yes, you're going to stop Saquon Barkley. But guess what's going to happen? They're going to run a play action pass and torch you for the nail in the coffin touchdown to Devontae Smith, who, by the way, just unbelievably, do you realize, Ironhead, if you don't count quarterbacks throwing touchdown passes, Devontae Smith is the first player drafted out of Alabama, because otherwise it would have been Jalen Hurts, but he was drafted out of Oklahoma. The first player ever drafted out of Alabama to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Was it you that mentioned that going into? I had heard that stat.
It might have been.
Can't be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is absolutely.
Yeah. No, there have been. Now, to the flip side of that is Alabama's had the most quarterback alumni win the Super Bowl. So I think there's Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Ken Stabler, and now Jalen Hurts. But in terms of a player drafted out of none of those previous 3 guys, Starr, Namath, or Stabler ever ran a touchdown in. So in terms of a player scoring a touchdown, drafted out of Alabama, Devontae Smith's the first. I see Tengwall is about ready to jump in here, which is good because I feel like I'm about ready to collapse. But this is good. I can finish by talking about the Birds and Saquon Barkley. I will say this. Two things. First of all, I think it is awesome, again, for Penn State and for the Eagles, that backwards hurdle play, which is going to be part of the NFL Films highlight reel from now until the end of time.
Yep.
That's first of all, I love that he did it wearing the Kelly green uniform. That makes it extra beautiful in my eyes. But I love that that's a highlight from a Super Bowl season.
Yeah.
And credit to Saquon. He surpassed the great Terrell Davis for most yards in a season. I thought that was awesome. And then the last thing I'll say to just speak to what you said about the kind of teammate he is and where his head was at in that game. So Saquon was celebrating his birthday on Super Bowl Sunday, as was Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
And after Cooper ran that pick six back and scored, he went to the sidelines and Saquon yells over at him. You could tell he's just like just totally in the moment. He said, that's a great birthday present you just got. You keep doing it a little bit longer, you're about to get a much better one. And I thought, man, that just shows you where this team is at and where that guy's head is at. He wasn't worried at all about the way Spags was, throwing everything in the kitchen sink to shut him down. Probably, to your point, partially because he understood what that freed up for the rest of his team. But he was worried about one thing. It's why he came to Philadelphia. It's why he gave up the chance to go chase Eric Dickerson in the regular season rushing title. It was to get the ring. And, to me, you couldn't ask for a better ambassador for the sport and a better ambassador for Penn State football. So this has been a special season like I never could have even hoped for as an Eagles and a Penn State fan. So I was just so thrilled to see Saquon get that ring, and I hope it's the first of more to come. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, indeed. Well, go rest up. I'll be resting up in another hour or so.
Get some vitamin C, man. We need it.
Yeah, amen. Thank you, dear Booch. Landon Tingwall join us when we come back. We'll take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back with a brand new co-host for Hour 2. Landon Tengwall filling in for the Dear Goon in Hour 2 this afternoon. Our thanks to Chris Buchanani, the Booch, filling in for Hour 1. Landon, first of all, thank you and good afternoon. Do you want to maybe just start telling folks you've been up to quite a lot here since graduating Penn State. You want to just give a little rundown or a little update on what you're up to?
Yeah, well, first off, Iron, it sounds like you guys have like an infirmary going on over here. Like everybody's down and out.
It's ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Well, hopefully we get everybody back healthy and all that soon. But yeah, no, I've had for those that don't know, I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism in December. Obviously had to medically retire in the fall of 23 from football. And it was, definitely a difficult time, but made a lot out of it. And now I have my own media channel and all that good stuff, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to find me at Landon Tengwall. I've been having a good time. I was down in Florida for a little while. I actually got hired by Tyler Warren's agent to go down there. And he had a couple companies, Tyler Warren did, that hired him to shoot content for the draft. So it's like Planet Fitness, a couple different protein shakes, that type of thing. And so I got to take a Penn State student at the College of Com, and we got to go down there for a weekend and make a ton of cool content with Tyler. I also, on the side, on my own, shot a golf video, just me and Tyler. We were just kind of on the range, having a good time, chopping it up, and plan to release that here in about a month. So whatever, it'll be a little bit of his farewell to all the Penn State fans, and it'll be a good introduction for whichever lucky team gets the land number 44, one of the, I think, and we can have this conversation, Ironhead. I'm going ahead, the best tight end to ever do it at Penn State, Tyler Warren.
Yeah, Landon, it's interesting because we've certainly had some great tight ends that we've been able to see, and I didn't think there would be anybody that would be able to match Kyle Brady in terms of just the sheer presence and the dominating blocking to go with the big time receiving. I'm with you though. I actually, and maybe it is recency bias, but I just think when you look at the season that Tyler Warren had and the different ways they were able to use him, and again, you know better, Landon, you break this stuff down, but as good of a pass catcher as he was, and he was obviously phenomenal, like he was dominating in terms of his blocking. Like it wasn't that he did what he was supposed to do there. It was that he put people on their backs. Like he was that combination of just a stalwart blocker and a playmaker, and then you add in the versatility and being able to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, the setter, the catching the ball that you snap, and all of that adds to the I guess the legacy, and eventually it'll be a legendary career and certainly legendary season that Tyler Warren put together.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I will say, I got to give credit. You were right. I mean, Tyler Warren is a devastating blocker. But I did get to meet Kyle Brady for the first time. It was the night before the Illinois game when they were honoring the 94 team. And so I got to meet Kyle Brady. And then I started talking to some of the guys. I'm like, Kyle Brady is still huge. He looks like he could still come out and play for Penn State or anybody in the NFL. It doesn't matter. And I didn't know, though, towards the end of his career, whenever, Kyle Brady gets into year, whatever it is, 12, and, he's trying to figure out, hey, I need to keep this thing going. And he was pretty much ready to play offensive tackle. He was going to transition from tight end to offensive tackle. And I was like, the ability to even do that is out of this world. So definitely no disrespect to Kyle Brady. I think that they can go 1A, 1B, and then we got. You're testing my Penn State football trivia here, going back a little too far. Well, it was Ted Kowals. How do you say
Qualick. Ted Qualick.
Oh, Ted Qualick.
Yeah.
I know he was up there, and obviously all of these are different time periods, so different styles of tight ends. But I think it's pretty neat how fantastic we have been just over the years at tight end, Ironhead. And it seems like it is definitely going to continue here with Luke Reynolds, Rappleyea. I think Dinkins is going to be kind of that the dirty man, the guy that does all the blocking, digs guys out. So I think we're in a really good place. I am thoroughly excited about where we are at the tight end position. But you and Boots were getting into a little bit of Eagles Super Bowl conversation here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was. I was certainly not surprised that the Eagles won. I picked them, and I just thought at the line of scrimmage they would be the better team. Now that being said, I did not see what we saw coming in terms of just the thorough dismantling of that D line for Philadelphia, dismantling Kansas City's offensive line. I don't know how anybody could have anticipated that. And again, maybe the Eagles did, because they certainly had a game plan where it's like, yep, we're not going to blitz. We're not going to give Mahomes the chance that they gave to Jalen Hurts to burn them on a blitz, because they felt confident, and rightfully so, that they could just take care of business up front. It was a very, very impressive performance by the Eagles as a whole. But that defensive line, to me, Jalen Hurts rightfully got MVP. But Landon, I don't know. I don't know that there was a more impressive group in quite a while in the Super Bowl than what that Philadelphia defensive line and defense as a whole was in that game.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Ironhead. And I think it was hard because some people are like, you got to give it to someone on defense. And it just, I mean, obviously Sweat, I had an insane 2.5 sacks, and it was really impactful. But it was just, you couldn't not give it to Jalen Hurts at the end, especially everything that he's been through. And I had people go back, and it's like, you almost forget that he was benched for Tua Tagovailoa in the national championship game. And now he gets back to this point, Super Bowl MVP, wins it all. And it couldn't be a nicer human being either. You know, it makes you happy. And no coincidence that the majority of United States, everybody was rooting for the Eagles to win. And it kind of felt like the good guys won, so to speak, Ironhead. You know, after 2 years and going on year 3, you don't want the same guys to win. It was exciting to see. And obviously we had a lot of Penn State interest, and then about half of the Penn State fan base are also Philly fans. So I think it was great to see all around. And I think I heard you and Booch earlier talking about, obviously Cooper DeJean's pick 6 and it being his birthday. I thought it was hilarious that they put on the screen after the pick 6, he was the second player ever to have a touchdown on his birthday in the Super Bowl. And I think it's so funny because that stat was, they clearly had it ready for Saquon, and they go, Oh, okay, I guess we're going to pivot here over to Cooper DeJean and throw that on the screen. But I mean, just a heck of a day for everybody involved. And I thought, the most impressive part for me was making Mahomes look average. I mean, even below average the entire game, because there's been games where Mahomes in his career, it's like, oh, the Chiefs are scoreless in the first half, or Mahomes threw 2 interceptions in the first half, but then they come out and they almost, they either come back and win or they almost win. And it was like the score didn't even reflect of how much of a whooping it really was. I mean, it wasn't even close. And I think I saw someone say, I don't really get into all the betting stuff, but with that last touchdown that Mahomes threw, he actually went over his, yardage that was set. So if you bet Mahomes over on yards, he actually hit on that, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting by the time we got into the third quarter. But overall, to just make the Kansas City Chiefs look human for all 4 quarters, Ironhead. I mean, that last touchdown, the Eagles had put in some backups at that point. We're not, I think that was the coolest thing to cap off the game. They win in just a dominant fashion. It was just exciting to watch. And you see Chris Jones and other players falling to one knee. I mean, the Chiefs weren't used to it. I mean, that is getting hit in the mouth and not really having an answer, Ironhead. It hasn't happened in years to the Chiefs.
No, that was the wild thing, and they never really seemed. I mean, maybe they did make some adjustments, and it just didn't pay off. But on the defensive side, again, they just seemed so keyed in on, man, we're going to stop Saquon Barkley, and to a large degree they did. And I am wondering, with all of the different things you can bet on, Landon, what the odds would have been that the Eagles would score 40 points and Saquon would not get it in the end zone. Now, you'd have to have pretty good odds against that. But they just seem so hell-bent, man, we're just going to stop Saquon. And again, I don't think you can pin this loss on the Chiefs' defense. Because again, the offense is to me clearly where the Chiefs just got completely overwhelmed. And again, you give Philadelphia basically 17 points off of the turnovers. So you take those points away, and you have yourself the type of Super Bowl that most were anticipating, a 1-point game. But that being said, I just think that defense got so hell-bent on we're just going to stop Saquon Barkley, and they just didn't consider, as Booch said, they have some pretty doggone good wide receivers, and an experienced quarterback is going to be able to take advantage of those matchups if they're there, and you saw that play out.
Yeah, you did. I mean, obviously A.J. Brown having a great day. That was great to see. And I think, early on, Jahan was mightily involved in it. I
thought he had the first touchdown. Thought he had it.
All of Nittany Nation thought it, Ironhead. I was jumping up and down. I couldn't believe Jahan was going to have the first touchdown in the Super Bowl, and just barely. And then we knew it was coming after that. A nice little touch push. So no, I think you're right. And I think what was interesting is that was a great display of, hey, when your offensive line is really struggling, it does not matter if you're even the greatest quarterback of all time, which I think Tom Brady's title is safe for a little while after that loss. And I think he might have been a little happy up in the booth, Ironhead, when it was going down. He's thinking, all right, I'm safe right now because no one is going to three-peat. So it was definitely interesting to see, like I said, Mahomes be an actual human and not a superhero. But like I said, just goes to show, speaking as I'm filling in for the former offensive lineman, but we got another one right here, that the offensive line, it's the most important thing. If that is not working well and you just saw it. Mahomes looked nervous. He was pressured. He was flustered, and he could never set his feet and really step into a throw. That was the Zach Bond interception down near the goal line. They're on their own goal line. And because Joe Thuney, Chiefs left tackle, is getting pushed all the way into Mahomes as he's throwing it, and Mahomes can't follow all the way through. So constantly, Mahomes just doesn't have that confidence to really be able to load up. So, and like I said, it was just so odd because it really it's something that we haven't seen for a while. And at the end of the day, it was even, thinking back to the Buccaneers Chiefs Super Bowl at the end of the 2020 season, that was the whole talk of the town was, hey, the Chiefs offensive line is not good. But even at that point, at least it was like Mahomes could do some things. Like they were moving the ball a little bit. In this game, it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing, Ironhead. And it was, like I said, I think it was weird for people to see Mahomes be that just human and susceptible to, hey, that Eagles defense is the real deal. And we can talk about it with Vic Fangio and them. I don't know if you and Booch got into it, but only sending a 4-man pass rush the entire game, not blitzing once. I've barely ever heard of that, Ironhead.
No, it is. It's absolutely amazing that they did that, and two, that they had as much success as consistently as they did. Again, regardless of the offensive line, for a Patrick Mahomes-led offense to have one first down in a half of football is beyond stunning. You just figure at some point Mahomes is going to make, a couple of throws or a run and just almost automatically he's going to find a way to get 3 or 4 first downs just on his own, just by creating something. But Philadelphia just never gave him the opportunity to get comfortable in any way, shape, or form. And I think Mahomes, he is used to, all right, the pressure's coming in. I know that there's going to be a seam here. And Philadelphia just did a great job, Landon, not only of getting the pressure, but of keeping their gaps and not giving those opportunities there for Mahomes to slip out. And there were a couple of times where you could see Mahomes is like, all right, here I go. And then boom, he gets hit from the side or from behind, like immediately. It was just, again, such an impressive, thorough domination by the Eagles. And it will be interesting to see. They were talking very shortly after the game about kind of what the Chiefs now look to do here in the offseason. And obviously, I think offensive line help is going to be probably at the top of their wish list. But, Philadelphia really, I think, exposed some things. And obviously, Philadelphia played a great game and has a great team. But I think I'll be curious to see next year kind of how that season plays out for Mahomes and the Chiefs. If there's not a recipe, now not every team is going to be able to get that type of pressure. Very few teams are going to be able to get that type of pressure and keep Mahomes contained like that for the entire game. But I think this idea that, maybe not blitzing Mahomes and giving him those opportunities to exploit the one-on-one matchups, man, if you can just take care of business up front. And again, a lot of teams aren't going to be in position to do what the Eagles did in that regard. That is an exceptional front that the Eagles have. But I am curious to just kind of see strategically next year, what changes the Chiefs make, but also just what the blueprint is now for opposing defenses taking on Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I think that is a really good point. And, I think to a certain extent, it's hard to say their luck ran out because they're so talented. But, the Chiefs had something like 7 or 8 games that were decided by one score. And I think you think back to a couple of those games. The Broncos, they had a blocked kick versus the Broncos that was like a 35-yarder. The Raiders game, they almost should have lost. Like, there was a couple games where it was the definition of sneaking out with a win they really should not have gotten. So it did feel like maybe they weren't as talented as the Chiefs have had in the past couple of years. But at the same time, it was like, hey, they still have Mahomes, they still got Kelsey, and now you go into an offseason where like you said, there's clearly some changes that need to be made, and then there's some question marks. Is Travis Kelsey going to come back? Because I can tell you right now, as the fantasy football owner of Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes this year, it wasn't that great of a year for me, Ironhead. I'm thinking,
understood.
I'm sitting there after the draft, and I'm like, I got the connection of Kelsey and Mahomes. I'm going to be eating up those double touchdowns when he throws a touchdown to Kelsey. I get both of the touchdowns. It wasn't that many, Ironhead. I'm going to be honest. So I'm curious to see, does Travis Kelsey just want to ride off into the sunset? With his very, very rich girlfriend, or does he want to come back for another year? So, hey, I highly, highly doubt Tyler Warren would ever drop that low. But hey, I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs are in the hunt for a tight end very soon here. So, I am excited to see kind of what that process is, and I've seen people kind of discussing that on the interwebs here of, do the Chiefs need to make any changes? And, there's always the overreaction after a loss. And,
of course.
And, then there's the people that rein it back in and say, hey, this is a team that has been to the Super Bowl. It was going for the first ever true three-peat. But Mahomes has basically been in every single Super Bowl of his career outside of 1 or 2. Is that something is it an actual worry? Or did the Chiefs just finally get beat? And, it is what it is type of thing. So, at the end of the day, I still think they have very talented coaches with Andy Reid play calling, clearly one of the best in the game. Now, obviously, you could be very short-sighted and say, yeah, he kind of just got his butt whooped on Sunday. But at the same time, that Eagles, like I said, that Eagles defensive front, they came with, it seemed like a chip on their shoulder, Ironhead. It was like there was something extra that motivated them. That was like, all right, watch this. We're going to show you guys really how to get it done. And I mean, like you said, it was like a lot of those plays where it's the Mahomes magic. It felt like those plays were just so limited. Those plays that Mahomes slips out, he didn't slip out. They made the tackle, the shoestring tackle that just barely they got him down. Like every play that was there to be made, it felt like, especially the Eagles defense made that play. And you don't normally get that when you're playing Patrick Mahomes. So I'm curious to see, was this just a one-off of one of the better defenses? I mean, I'm willing to say one of the – I mean, I don't know if we want to go the ever route. I mean, we got the 2000 Ravens. We got a lot of 2008 Steelers, a lot of those. But, I mean, from top down, the talent, and I'd say the depth, Ironhead, of this defense, that's where they were so strong. The depth of this Eagles team, of it was like, someone goes down, all right, next man up. It was just like – and the ability to bring in, you know, a couple people mentioned this is, you know, you bring in Zach Bond, you bring in Saquon Barkley, and it's just they were home run hits. Howie is just killing it. He's absolutely killing it. People are saying, does Howie want to come and work a little GM magic for Penn State and then maybe go back? He needs to help out his fellow Pennsylvania neighbors, because that dude is a wizard when it comes to building himself a team. I you know, sometimes you look at these type of Eagles teams and it's like, how do you afford to keep all of these guys together? But, you know, Howie Roseman gets it done. I don't know how. But that's another conversation to have, is I'm not fully familiar with what this offseason looks like as far as contracts being up. But now, what is the process of keeping this Super Bowl team together? Because no matter what, and you got a little bit of time for certain guys, and they're also lucky that a generational player like Saquon Barkley that came third in MVP voting, well, running backs are just cheap now. If you know, that's just what it is. You do not have to pay even a running back like Saquon. You know, there's wide receivers that are ranked the 15th wide receiver in the league, and they're still making more than Saquon. So, you know, you have the ability to stretch it out a little bit, but I am curious to see here how Howie's going to handle when you have a team that is that successful and that many great players. Well, what comes with that is guys saying, hey, it's time for payday, and it's time to pay up. So I'm excited to see how both teams, the Chiefs and the Eagles, kind of navigate both of their off seasons and then their next, you know, year or two in the future.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, always with all of these teams and organizations, you're looking to the future. Wanted to run by you, Landon, because I was kind of doing some other things at my house, had ESPN in the background this morning, and I just haven't I'm in wrestling mode right now, so I'm like locked in on Penn State Wrestling. And there's a couple things I do want to get into you with on other Penn State avenues here in a bit. But it came up on the I think it was, I don't know if it was Mel Kiper's board or anyways, they're talking about the Steelers in like first round, Jackson Dart, Mississippi quarterback. I'm like, ooh, I got to tell you, that has me a little fired up because I think Jackson Dart, obviously Penn State fans saw up close and personal, man, he can be accurate, like, and was very accurate over the last couple of years. And the dynamic he brings, Landon, like, to me, that is a game changer. Like the whole Justin Fields, Russell Wilson thing, and it certainly looks now like it's going to be Fields, although we'll see how it all plays out. I don't think either of those guys are your, franchise quarterback, certainly not long-term franchise quarterback. Jackson Dart, to me, Landon, and again, it's always difficult to project how these things are going to go from college to NFL. But I got to tell you, ever since I heard it this morning, I've been like a little extra bounce in my step today. I'm like, oh, I really like that idea. Jackson Dart feels like he could be a game changer for that Steelers organization, at least to me. Right? What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, watching him in that air raid offense at Ole Miss was really fun. Not as fun in the Peach Bowl a couple of years ago. But still, very fun in other games and explosive. I saw that this morning, and I guess my initial reaction is, please just not another Kenny Pickett, because that was right where we were picking. And that is the hard part with where the Steelers are at right now, where it's just this mediocrity where it's like, we're okay with just being all right. And what that does is it puts us around pick 20 most years, and you generally don't really find that quarterback you need unless it's Jalen Hurts in the second round. But like around that pick 20, it's like generally it feels like those aren't the quarterbacks that make those big splashes. But at the same time, we're in this limbo, Ironhead, where it's like, man, we are in that, I guess that every team goes through it where it's, I was a Steelers fan since about 2007, 6 in that area when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So all I know is Big Ben. And I was so sad because I'm like, I have had the luxury my whole career of only knowing one quarterback. And I knew eventually that day was coming. And now here is that day, Ironhead. And so some teams get lucky. I mean, the Ravens got to go right from Flacco right into Lamar. So it does get to happen for some teams, but majority of teams have to go through this quarterback lull. And that's where the Steelers are at. We already had to play games with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky. It's already been a nightmare, Ironhead. But now we are in a realm where, clearly Russell Wilson did not really work out. Now, I'm with you there. I don't really think either of them are the long-term answer. I don't know. It's hard. It's like the long-term answer. I mean, I think we're going to have to eventually just hit on a quarterback. And if the Steelers are going to continue to be good but not great, it's like, you got to find a quarterback. You got to find that diamond in the rough around pick 20. Could Jackson Dart be that guy? I mean, very well could be. But I guess you're not going to find out unless you take that opportunity. Now, I think there is some other positions that the Steelers do probably need to kind of fill out there. That could use that first-round pick on, but none more important than that quarterback position, Ironhead. So I'm interested. And there's a lot of Steelers fans that are unhappy. I saw a big-time Steelers fan. He basically bought a sign that he put on one of the millions of bridges in Pittsburgh, and it basically said, we need to fire either Tomlin or the Rooneys need to sell the team. Listen, basically, the Steelers have come out and said we're not really making any coaching changes. Tomlin down. I mean, we're keeping a lot of different people. It's hard for me that the Pittsburgh Steelers are settling to be mediocre. I don't know, Ironhead. I just think most people that are at all from the age range of mine all the way up to, even if you're 80 years old, it's like the Steelers are going to be okay with just being okay. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, Ironhead.
Yeah, I do think it's curious that they're not making the listen, I didn't think they were going to get rid of Tomlin, but I did think there would be some changes made here based on what we saw, especially down the stretch this season. That being said, to go to your earlier point, Landon, like the two things you need to be successful as an offense and really as a team in the NFL, you have to have at least a good offensive line, and you have to have a playmaker, a guy that can make things happen at quarterback. I don't think the Steelers have either of those things. And so while I was not enamored with Arthur Smith either, I there's only so much your play calling can do when you have deficiencies in those two areas. And Wilson played well at times. Actually, Justin Fields played well at times early in the season. But I don't think either of them, and again, maybe Fields will prove me wrong. I think we have enough of a sample size now. And I know, Chicago's kind of probably an unfair sample size, but I just don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's going to be an upper echelon quarterback. And I'm not sure he's really like an NFL starter. I think he's would be a really good backup, like a great, two guy that, man, you need somebody to fill in for a 3 to 5 game stretch and, keep things humming. Yeah, I think Fields can be that. Jackson Dart, I got to tell you, Landon, I think he's one of these guys that's a little under the radar. And if he does fall down, you're certainly right. The Steelers have other needs, like Jackson Dart, or if they hit with the quarterback, that does not just solve all of the Steelers' problems, and they're going to dethrone the Chiefs and be in the Super Bowl next year. But it is such a big, important component, and it's always a roll of the dice here with the quarterback spot. I really would like that roll of the dice. I have a good feeling about Jackson Dart, and whether it's with the Steelers or I hadn't really thought much about what was coming out in the draft or looking ahead to it just yet. But like I said, I've been kind of jazzed about this ever since I heard it, because I do think Jackson Dart has a chance to be one of those upper tier quarterbacks in the NFL. I think he's going to come in with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, which I think is a good thing to have if you're a player looking to make it in the NFL. I think, the one thing he, at least the games I watched, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I watched a ton of Ole Miss football, but probably saw a good bit of 4 or 5 games, and obviously all of the Peach Bowl. The games I saw him, the one thing you want in your quarterback is accuracy. And, man, that guy, he puts the ball where his receivers can go get it. He is again, I don't know if it's as consistent as what it is in the games I've watched, but, boy, his accuracy was phenomenal in the games that I watched or the times that I saw him play. That's a pretty good place to start if you're looking to make it in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And you even just saying the words of the Steelers finding a way to dethrone the Chiefs, this feels like a far distant dream that'll never actually happen. But
I hear you.
I guess we will see. And I know you said you did want to talk some other Penn State sports. I've been throwing this question back and forth. I don't know if there's a better person to answer this than you. Is there a better sports dynasty than Penn State wrestling from when Cale Sanderson took over this team in his tenure? Do you think they are the best sports dynasty ever and still going, mind you?
Well, so I'm obviously a little biased, but yes, I really do, and for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, yes, what just the 11 championships in 13 years tells you that it's up there anyway. Now there have been some, I think some track and field teams that have won more in a row. Iowa wrestling won more; they won 9 championships in a row at one point. But the couple of things that I'll point to that I think make what Penn State is doing even more special. One is that this program has consistently gotten better. And I think that is pretty remarkable when you're winning national championships and you're consistently getting better. Now, obviously, had a couple of years there where they did not win the national title, so you can chalk that up to hiccups or rebuilding or whatever. But last year's team is certainly in the conversation for greatest college wrestling team ever. And I think this year's, if they stay healthy, and again, we'll see what happens here down the stretch and into the postseason with Braden Davis and Tyler Kasak. But if they stay healthy, I mean, this team has a chance to set a new scoring record, to get 10 All-Americans, to get, records for finalists and champions, individual champions, and all of that. But above and beyond all of that, and all of that is truly remarkable, it is the way that they have gone about it. I just was reading a thread this afternoon on, and it was funny because I'm trying to think now if this was in the, I think it was the Penn State Wrestling Room. I saw it, although I might be wrong. It might have been Tom's wrestling page. It was one of the two. Anyways, they show a couple of pictures of women wrestlers, and they have their opponents in all kinds of trouble, and they're just kind of relaxing that, if you get in the right hold, and then they're showing you can do that, and then they're showing Tyler Kasak and his fist bump at the end of his win over Ja'Cory Teamer, and it sparked this discussion on whether or not showmanship and all of this, but it's sparked this discussion on fun. And there were a couple of posters that are like, hey, this is just wrestlers having fun. There's nothing wrong with that. And this one woman got indignant. She's like, wrestling is not fun. My son's had a lot of success, and it's a great sport, and it's wonderful, but it is not fun. And this went back and forth a little bit, and she wrote, you find me a wrestler who says wrestling's fun, and I'll show you somebody that wasn't very good. And I'm like, I didn't post because I don't do that, but I'm like, well, have you heard of Jason Nolf, Bo Nickel, David Taylor, Zane Rutherford? Like, and I understand what she means. Like, there's different, fun is defined differently for sure by wrestlers and anybody in those type of physical sports. But I do think Kale's approach, where it is all about positive reinforcement, it is unlike anything I had seen, at least in the sport of wrestling, in terms of, man, I want you guys coming here with a smile on your face at the start of practice. That their whole approach with gratitude, and it's different than anything I had ever seen anyway in the sport. And I think their mission of, hey, we just want you to be the best you can be. Like, go out, score as many points as you can score. And, Kale genuinely, especially earlier in the season, genuinely wants to see you. He'll be more happy with a loss. If it's like a 14-12 loss and you were out there flying around and made a couple of mistakes, he will take that every day of the week over a 2-1 win where you shut down and you're blocking off your opponent, but you never tried to generate anything. I wanted Dan Gable and wildly successful, but it really was just win. The Al Davis, just win, baby. And that was the focus. We just got to find a way to win. That is not the focus. It's the byproduct of Kale's approach, but it's not the focus. Like, you don't hear him in the room like, we got to find a way to beat Iowa here this coming weekend, or we're going to beat Ohio State in Columbus. It's, all right, guys, we got to get a little bit better today. This is, we're noticing this. You guys got to work on that. And it's all about focusing on the individual and becoming the best you can be. And again, the byproduct is obviously then the wins and the championships. But to me, he has revolutionized, and it's not just him. Cody Sanderson and Casey Cunningham. I mean, this is those three together, and then they've had a variety. Nick Lee now is terrific. But those three have been the driving force here for, I think, revolutionizing college wrestling and the approach that is successful. And I think it's a much more entertaining brand of wrestling. I think it is one that is more appealing for young kids to, hey, yeah, maybe that is something I want to do. You see Bo Nickel throwing Miles Martin to his back like that. That looks pretty cool. That's pretty fun. That's exciting. So yes, I do think it's the greatest dynasty, but I think it goes above and beyond the numbers. It's the approach that they take and the way they have gone about their business. And, you can't the numbers are what they are. It is not something, I know people maybe think sometimes it's like, okay, like the humble routine is great and all, but you obviously know. I'm telling you, Kale, he might know what the winning streak is up to just because everybody keeps asking him about it. But I'm telling you, he does not care. He doesn't care about the record, the coaching records. He doesn't care about the streak. He cares about helping his kids, each one on that team, try to achieve their dreams, doing everything he and that staff can do to try to help them fulfill what they want out of their wrestling careers, and then to set them up for success in life. So, yeah, it really is. It's unlike anything I've seen before. We are way overdue for a break, but I do before we take the break, Landon, I do want to just real quickly. Your interview that we aired with Caroline Juravicius was terrific. She is just a fascinating individual. But Katie Schumacher-Colley rang the bell last night. We talked about it on our morning show today, but in case you missed it, the head coach of the Penn State women's volleyball team finished up her chemotherapy treatments. What she has gone through over the last, whatever it is, 6 months or so, and overcome is truly remarkable. And the team was honored at the Michigan Duel at the Jordan Center on Friday night. And that fun, you couldn't help. A couple of the girls were out there kind of play wrestling with each other. And like the joy that just exudes from that program, you can't help but notice. And again, it's a lot of individual stories, right? Remarkable individual stories, including Caroline's, including Katie's, coming together for that, greater purpose, the purpose of the team. And to me, that was just one of the great, truly great stories, inspirational stories on the Penn State campus in the last decade or so, and maybe really ever in terms of the way everything came together.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ironhead. And if anybody that was tuned into to that interview with Caroline Jaravicious, she did credit, when the girls found out and Katie shared with them, basically it was around the last October that she did have cancer. Caroline said that everybody kind of looked around, and obviously there was the shock, there was the sadness, but then it was what can we do? How can we help? How can we help her kids? How can we do anything little to make her feel better? And, I think that's one of those examples. And this is also what Caroline said of going through those hardships, almost together. It builds something bigger than just the sport that you are playing. And I think that's why, I asked Caroline, I said, where did you guys get the mental fortitude to be down, be down and do a reverse sweep in the semifinal national championship game?
Yep.
And she's like, look, that's what we've been doing all year. That is the adversity that we have been fighting all year long. And it starts with Katie and it goes the top down. But you're right. It truly is amazing what they were able to do. And, they talked about, just being there for Katie and also kind of being able to give her, that was her distraction almost. That was her time to get away and to be, not have to worry about that in that moment, but be able to be with the girls that she loves and loves to coach. And like you said, I don't think there is a better story to win the national championship under those circumstances. And like I said, I think the reverse sweep against Nebraska is going to go down in history. It's one of the greatest comebacks ever. Obviously volleyball is not on the stage that football is, but that reverse sweep is right up there with Tom Brady 28-3 against the Falcons. I mean, that's how serious that was just in volleyball terms. So, very, very exciting stuff to see there. And I'm very cool to be able to hear Caroline's, one of the leaders of that team, her perspective on kind of how that whole season unfolded, Ironhead.
No doubt. All right, well, I'll take a break here. We're back with one final short segment when we return. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on a Tuesday.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And then there was just Ironhead for the final segment here, short segment to wrap things up for the week. Again, Penn State Wrestling will be back in action Friday at Ohio State, and then on Sunday at Illinois, and then back home a week from Friday for the final dual meet of the season in Rec Hall against American University. One story, we're talking about the inspiration of Katie Schumacher-Colley, and congratulations to Coach on beating cancer, and again, rang the bell according to Onward State, sent out a I forget if it was a tweet or anyways on social media, a huge thanks to her support staff and her family and all of the caretakers that got her through the challenging time. There is a great inspirational story, if you're not aware of it, with Ohio State Wrestling as well, in Sammy Sasso. I saw a clip earlier today from Tom Ryan, the head coach of the Buckeyes, and he was right on the money. I've talked before, one of the reasons I love covering the sport of wrestling, and my kiddos getting into it a little bit this year, and it's fun to see. It's just one of those sports that demands that you have courage. It just takes courage to step out onto the mat and go one-on-one with another individual. And Sammy Sasso was a championship caliber wrestler. I mean, one of the best guys in the country, and was a shooting victim and was critically injured. I mean, life-threatening injuries. Has now come back in his wrestling, but is not the wrestler that he was before the shooting. I mean, he was a national title contender before the shooting. Still a very good wrestler, ranked and will almost certainly go to the NCAA tournament this year. But he is a long shot for sure to be an All-American, let alone to try to win a national title. But Tom Ryan talked about the courage that Sasso has, and it was just a wonderful perspective that here's a guy who is used to being competitive at the highest levels, willing to put himself back out there because he loves the sport, loves his teammates, and he knows obviously that at this point, now maybe at some point he'll be healed enough and physically he'll be able to do what he had been doing before the shooting. But at this point, he just isn't. I mean, his body just doesn't respond the same way. It is a different kind of courage when you are used to being able to go out there and you tell your body to do something and it responds. And again, you're toe to toe with the best wrestlers in the country. To go out there and still give it your all, knowing that at least at this point, the results aren't going to be there, is a special kind of fortitude and a special kind of bravery. And we'll get to see him here Friday night. Sammy Sasso, I don't care who you root for. I don't care what team or what wrestlers are your favorites. Sammy Sasso holds a very special place in the hearts of wrestling fans everywhere. This is a really special kid or young man now, and looking forward to just seeing him out there and competing to whatever degree he can for Ohio State Friday night and throughout the rest of the season. But it is something special that Sammy Sasso is providing for that Ohio State team, even if it's not the same caliber of wrestling that he had been providing them before the shooting incident. Couple of other notes just on the programming front. First of all, I will not be here Thursday. I'll actually be traveling to Columbus with the wrestling team. So the Goon and hopefully a feeling better Chris Buchanani will be handling the show duties on Thursday. And then Goon and I believe, both should be back a week from today for a Peaches and Herb type of show, reunited here at Quaker Steak and Lube a week from today. Also, high school wrestling District 6 tournament action gets underway this Friday in Altoona. We will have live coverage of the District 6 AA and AAA tournaments from Altoona on Friday and Saturday. Todd and Norm Brown will be providing the coverage for you right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Our coverage will begin a little before 10 o'clock, 9:45, 9:50, right in that neighborhood. Scott Geezy will hand it off to Todd and Norm for the opening round of the AA tournament on Friday morning. So again, Friday at about 9:50 is when our coverage of the District 6 tournament will get underway. And then we will have 4 o'clock will be the start of the second session. So about 3:45 we'll be joining the Browns again in Altoona. And then Saturday morning, our coverage will begin at 8:45. So we'll have a very abbreviated Jed Donahue show on Saturday morning so that we can bring you the District 6 Wrestling Championships. Again, the action will get underway at 9. Todd and Norm will be on the air at about 8:45 on Saturday morning, and then the championships will be held Saturday night. The action will get underway at 6 o'clock, and Todd and Norm will hit the airwaves at 5:45 on Saturday night. So District 6 Wrestling Championship action rolling your way this weekend, Friday and Saturday, here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, and very much looking forward to that, and very appreciative that we have Todd and Norm to provide that coverage for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Folks, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet is just about to get underway. You can come on down to Quaker Steak and Lube and enjoy that. Starts at 4 o'clock, goes the rest of the evening here. Come on in out of the snow. I do see that it is now snowing in the Valley of Happiness. I am over it. I am ready for spring weather. A huge thank you to Chris Buchanani. The dear Booch and I both a little under the weather today. A huge thank you to Landon Tengwall, both for filling in for Goon today. And again, Booch will be filling in for me on Thursday as Goon will be back, and then I check out. And again, we'll both be back next Tuesday. But come on down to Quaker Steak and Lube and enjoy the all-you-can-eat wing buffet. again, Goon and Booch with you on Thursday. I'll be back with you and Goon next Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.